All right, so here's a quick video on how to import some images into your stage in Animate for use to use them like a kind of a template. Let's say you're doing like a walk cycle. In this case, that's what we're doing. And so first thing I'm going to do is set up my scene for walk cycle. I already know that I've got the right scale for my scene here. I'm going to adjust this to make it what I want. And I'm pretty much ready to go now. So I'm in my properties panel, and I just adjusted my frames per second to 24 because that's what I'm used to working in. So, and that's kind of the standard that we've started the year out with. So I'm going to start off with here with layer 1. I'm going to make this my guidelines layer. So a lot of the same steps as what we've done before. I'm going to create a new layer, and this is going to be, let's just make this my template layer. So I'll add my template here. And then my actual layer that I'm going to create here is going to be for my character. So I've got this already kind of set up for me. And I'm going to go ahead and start with my template. My template is what I want to import, the layer that I want to import my image onto. So obviously nothing here right now. There's no guidelines yet because I'm actually going to use my template to help decide where my guidelines are going to go. So I'm going to go up here to File, and then I'm going to go to Import to Stage, and I'm going to locate my images, and these are the samples that we've used in class. I'm going to locate my images where I want to start my walk cycle. This is going to be my first template here. So I'm going to open this. It appears to be a sequence of images. Do you want to import all of the image in the sequence? I'm just going to say no. This is just fine. Already exists in document. I'm just going to say replace it. That's fine. And so what I need to do, typically it's going to show up like this. You're like, all right, well, I can move it, but that's awfully small. I don't really need my character to be that small. Make sure you choose your free transform tool and hold shift and scale that bad boy up. So now I've got a good size here that I want for my character. I'm going to position him right about here. And that's good. He's on my template layer. So if I turn him off, you can't see him anymore, right? So that's good. I'm going to go to my character layer. Actually, I'm going to go to my guidelines, and I'm going to set my guidelines. So I can see where his feet are here. So I'm just going to draw that line straight across. That'll make sure that I'll line up everything, the right way. So this looks like about like where his heel would be if he were to be stepping on the ground line. So there's my guideline there, and I'm going to take that guideline and I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it in center, and I'm just going to move it upwards. Grab that, move it to about where the top of his head would be. So right about there. That looks good to me, and I'm pretty much set. And the reason this is still important, obviously, it seems odd that I did that because I'm basically using this as a template. But remember, these are only our keyframes. These are only our poses our key poses that we're using here. We're going to go back and have to tween between, these keyframes, and you're not going to have a template like this to guide you. So these guidelines will still serve a purpose when you get to those poses between these key poses. So there we go. I've got that set up now. Now with my character layer, this is where I'm actually going to be doing my drawing, and I'm going to choose my brush, and this is where you can, trace out your character. I'm using a mouse, and this is quite terrible, and I'm obviously using a much larger brush than what I actually need. Oh, he gained a few pounds there. So I've got this guy. Oh, that was bad. Certain levels of bad I'm willing to accept, and that was not one of them, I guess. So now I've got my character. He's got his first pose. I can turn this off, and there I go. Now I can choose this right here, and I'm going to create my next frame, and so on. So now that I'm ready, I can now go back to this template pose. Turn on my onion layers here, or my onion skinning, and while I'm on this fifth frame, I'm going to delete, and you can see I don't see my my template is right down here now. I don't need this template anymore, so I actually want a separate template in there. So when I go to this right here, I can actually just delete that out. I don't need that one anymore. I'm going to import my next image into the stage, which is going to be, that's my contact, which would be my low pose right here. And I want to scale that bad boy up so he kind of meets the requirements of my, or kind of fits in with my character here. I can position him where I need him to be. It's going to be a little bit lower than my first pose, so I do have to do a little bit of arranging, and it keeps wanting to snap, which I don't like. So I'm using my keyboard to kind of nudge it over, and this looks like a good place for him to be. I'm looking at his heel actually right here to kind of help line him up, and I feel like this is a pretty good place for him to be. So with that being said, I can move ahead, and I see my low pose here behind him, and I can now go and trace my new pose based on the character, based on your walk cycle drawings. So, don't reinvent the wheel. Use what you have. Those are great resources for creating your walk cycle animation. So, hey, this isn't too bad for a little bit of mouse work here. I'm redeeming myself in my second pose. So there we go. Now I can move down the line, add a frame in here, delete that bad boy out, and I'm ready for a new image here. So I'm just going to continue this along, making sure I'm choosing the right poses next. No, I don't want to import all of them. I do want to choose my transform tool and move him into place. I'm going to look at the placement of his heel. Actually, it should be over here. And what I want to do, actually, to make this easier, I'm going to extend this out to here so I can see these frames all the way. So now that I've got him chosen, I'm going to back up to the frame where I want to actually animate him and squeeze him in here. Let's see, where's the best place he can fit here. I think right about here. He's slightly higher. I'm still looking at his heel. His foot is planted on the ground, and that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to now go back to my character layer and continue my drawing, continue my sketching. Whoa, start off. Okay. And so this would have been done much better with a smaller brush. Or F6 on this, delete that guy. Actually going to delete this guy import my final pose, which is my fourth one, you're going to have 8. And I should actually have 8 here as well. Now I'm on my high pose. I'm going to import that. Don't do that. Choose this. Make this larger. Going out to here. Going to line this guy up to make him makes sense. Remember, the high pose should be your tallest one. Usually they're at the peak of their kind of that rhythm of their walk cycle as far as their up and down movements. So he's slightly taller here than he is in the passing, which is good. And I think that is good. So finish up my last one here. Switch over my character pose or my character layer. And that's probably the most confusing thing. For me, I often forget that, is make sure that you're on the correct pose or correct layer. Oh my gosh, correct layer for the drawing that you're working on. So there we go. Now I can hide this guy, and I'm going to turn off my onion skins and check it out. He's walking. Now, what I could do, because he's not really supposed to be in this particular animation, he's going to be kind of doing a still walk. And so notice how he kind of, it's pretty good actually, the motion that he's making going from forward to back, or back to forward, I guess. He's moving forward. But what we want is more of a stationary walk cycle for this guy. So I'm going to turn my onion skin back on and make sure, see how he's kind of migrated forward? I want to make sure that he is not migrating and moving forward. I'm going to look at his toe right here and see that he is not moving forward like he is. So he's almost being like he's just a stationary walk. So I'm sliding him back and turn off my onion skins, and I'm going to kind of cycle through it. That's much better, because it's going to be, in this particular drawing, it's going to be the background that's going to be moving. So he's going to be stationary, or she, or it, or whatever it is. It's going to be stationary while your background's moving. And so this is the kind of motion I'm interested in right here. And that's what we will be looking for later. And so you'll continue these steps for your next 4 poses, and that should help you out with getting your key poses down for your animation, your walk cycle animation. So at least the first steps anyhow. Well, that is pretty much it for now. I'll do an update on the next steps as we get to them, and we'll see you next time.